Welcome to Chalkboard Football. Make sure to like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel for more football updates.
Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the complete Ligue 1 2026-27 season predictions, breaking things down from top to bottom. We're looking at the full hierarchy of French football, and honestly, it is a wild landscape right now. We've got shifting power dynamics, massive underdog stories, and heavyweights desperately trying to maintain their grip. So let's get right into it. Here's how we're breaking this down today. First, the relegation dogfight. Then, surviving the mid-table, pushing for the top half, the European battleground, and finally, the ultimate title race. Starting right at the bottom with the relegation dogfight. Literally survival of the fittest. Looking at our bottom four here, the margins are just razor thin. You might remember Auxerre barely escaped the drop last season by finishing 15th, and they are predicted to face another exhausting down-to-the-wire fight to survive in that exact same spot. Right below them, Laver is tipped for a really bitter relegation battle in 16th. Now, Laver finished 14th last year, but the data suggests that respectable finish actually masked how incredibly close they were to real deep trouble. And this stark reality hits the newly promoted sides the hardest. Take Troyes, for example. They're coming in as the champions of Ligue 2, but the jump to Ligue 1 is enormous. It's a massive step up. Because of that unforgiving gap in overall quality, they're predicted to finish 17th, suffering an immediate relegation right back down. Then there's Le Mans at the very bottom in 18th. Their incredible fairy tale promotion story is about to meet a really severe reality check. Earning a spot in the top flight was obviously a historic achievement for them, but surviving it for a full 34-game season, that is a completely different, much steeper challenge. They're unfortunately predicted to anchor the bottom of the table. Moving on to surviving the mid-table, the absolute grind for stability. In this tier, Angers sits at 14th. They aren't going to be spectacular to watch, but they're expected to do just enough defensively to survive once again. Just above them, in 13th, is Brest, who are actually predicted to continue a downward trend this season. The data points to a really difficult attacking season that's going to keep them tethered near the bottom half. But the major standout here is Lorient in 12th. Last season, as a newly promoted side, they shocked everyone with a highly impressive 10th place finish. But repeating that feat? The prediction warns of severe second-season syndrome. The element of surprise is completely gone, opponents have figured out their tactics, and staying in the top half is going to be significantly harder this time around. Next up, pushing for the top half, we're looking at rising contenders and teams trying to consolidate. This block from 7th to 11th is incredibly competitive. It's headlined by Rennes up in 7th. They're expected to finally return to the European conversation because, frankly, they absolutely have the squad quality required to challenge the top 6. And check out this massive recovery projection for Nice, going from a totally dismal 16th place last season, where they were seriously flirting with disaster, all the way up to a predicted 9th place finish. That is a phenomenal bounce back and one of the absolute biggest upward swings we're tracking. To round out this tier, Strasbourg's firepower keeps them safely in 8th. They scored 58 goals last year, so they prove they belong here. Right below them, Toulouse is solid enough to survive, but might lose a bit of ground, making them unlikely to actually threaten for Europe. Meanwhile, Paris FC looks to expertly consolidate their position in 11th. Securing another mid-table campaign is exactly what they need to establish themselves as top-flight regulars after their debut season. All right, things are heating up. Welcome to the European battleground. High stakes in the top 6. This is where we see some serious turbulence. Look at Lyon in 6th. They're predicted to fall from their 4th place finish last year, mostly because balancing domestic play with really heavy European demands could make maintaining last season's level incredibly difficult for them. Then there's Monaco, stuck in 4th. Their attack has the sheer potential to challenge for the podium, for sure, but lingering consistency issues will ultimately undermine them. Now, 70 points. That was the outstanding total Lens achieved to finish 2nd last season. They were absolutely brilliant. Yet this year, they are predicted to drop all the way down to 5th. Honestly, that is the boldest top half call of the entire season. On the flip side, 61 points. That was exactly enough for Lille to secure 3rd place last season. It's a benchmark they are predicted to hit again, earning them back-to-back top 3 finishes, and really proving their long-term stability at the top of the table. And finally, the ultimate title race, the absolute summit of French football. At the very top, we have a clear two-horse narrative emerging. It's the immovable object of Paris Saint-Germain up against an aggressive, super ambitious surge from Marseille. And this dynamic brilliantly illustrates the brutal, zero-sum nature of the top tier. Marseille is expected to close the gap on PSG, jumping from 5th all the way to 2nd to return to the title race. But for Marseille to rise, someone has to fall. Their expected return to dominance directly pushes last year's darling Lens completely out of the podium picture. There is literally no room for error at this altitude. But here is the crucial takeaway. Despite all the chaotic movement below them, the rises, the falls, the fairy tale promotions, and the heartbreak, PSG's dominance and consistency make them heavy favorites. They are predicted to win another title simply because they remain the clear, undeniable benchmark in France. They set the standard that everyone else is desperately trying to reach. So as we wrap up this explainer, I gotta leave you with this question. Does Marseille actually have the firepower and the consistency to close that gap and shock the world? Or, despite all the shifting positions in the top 6, is French football destined for another year of undisputed Parisian rule? Keep a close eye on these tier shifts as the season unfolds, because if these predictions hold true, we are in for a wildly entertaining ride. Thanks so much for joining me to break this all down.